to the Economic Times Cutting Chai Stories, an initiative by ETH. I am Ashwini Mishra, bringing to you conversations with business and IT leaders over a cup of chai as we get a chance to hear their stories, interesting insights around their personal and professional journey, their leadership traits, and other such engaging topics. Joining me today is Akilur Rahman, Chief Technology Officer at Hitachi ABB Power Grids India. Welcome, Akilur, on Cutting Chai Stories.
Thank you, Ashwini. Pleasure to be here and having conversation with you and also the industry leader.
It's a pleasure to host you, Akilur. Let's start with your early childhood days. Let's start with your schooling and lessons that you've learned early on, which have stayed with you till date. If you could just quickly walk us through.
Yeah. So I come from a coastal town. It's a temple town of Puri in Orissa. And as you know, it's famous for the temple of Lord Jagannath and also nice beach and also nearby the Sun Temple of Konark, a 12th century temple.
Right.
And I was in a school which actually is very old. I mean, it started in 1853. The district, we call it Zilla School, so it's a school. Whereas when we live, it was basically a neighborhood of a college. So most of my childhood, the schooling, we were more influenced by the college rather than the school. Of course, school we had during the day, during the study, but beyond the study time, beyond the school time, the weekends, we used to be always, with the college environment, the playground, going inside the college, looking at different events happening. So we were exposed to a lot of things because that was a college where they used to have sports, they used to have exhibition, they used to have election, they used to have labs. It was a science and arts college. So what we used to do as we had a group of 5 kids, and always looking for something new. I mean, whatever we saw in the college happening, let's say a sports event happening, or maybe a drama happening, or orchestra happening, or a science exhibition happening, we always used to come back and then do the same thing in our community, in our small area.
Okay.
Not looking for actually investing, but coming up with creative ideas of putting the same kind of thing here in the community. I give one example of those days. We used to have this film projector, a static. You put the film, which from the movies and all, and then we started that. We got some films. We also initially we started with using the sun with a mirror and magnifying glass and project it on a wall and then show those pictures. And we used to call the other kids, and also you enjoy that. And then we graduated into using a bulb and also a projector. We made our own, and then we also had exhibition where we did a lot of small scientific experiments, whatever we learned on our own, as well as whatever we saw in the college. We also organized a sports event in our small community, taking all the kids from different ages and all. Again, all jugaad type of thing. We never used to spend money, not asking for money to our parents. Rather, whatever is there, we have in our household with our parents, whatever those things we used to use, and then have these events. So that's a great lesson for me, that the creativity doesn't come with training. It comes within.
Naturally.
You get motivated. Yeah. Right. And you can always find ways to really build something. Yeah.
Very interesting, So do you still, do such things, Akilur, not trying to imitate things, but, that innovation or that capability to innovate still stays with you?
Yes, all along. I think that was a great learning from the school days and college. Of course, when I came into the professional career and all, we had a lot of resources available, support available, ideas, there, and also the support from the management to work with the ideas, innovation, creativity. But at the end, we have to convert it to sort of business benefit.
True.
or our customer benefit, customer value. So that actually that learning helped. Uh, so it was more of organized, whereas in the childhood it was more like jugaad. You just get things from here and there. Start doing it, and then sort of making a I would say show that way. Yeah.
Any early influencers, Akilur, that have shaped your professional journey or personally as well?
Okay, I would say it of course starts with parents, and my I come from a lawyer family. My father was a lawyer, my grandfather was a lawyer, and my grandfather was actually a very tall figure in the sense that he was the first cabinet minister in the Orissa ministry, which independent Orissa
Right.
in 1936, 36, 37 that time. So
Okay.
he was
Okay.
a great lawyer, and then he was the advisor to the that time it was used to be called Prime Minister of the state. Yeah.
Right.
But he had this humility. So that is what I learned from him. He was so big figure, a lot of people coming, and but then he never used to have that aura or ego. I mean, I used to see that people coming from all walks of life, all sections of society, and meeting him, and he used to also sit with them, have chai with them, have food with them wherever you go. And then he was of course, agriculturalist, in the sense he was believing in social innovation, basically. So he created a large estate where a lot of farmings. While he was professionally also very renowned, I think that taught me how you can be you can have humility. And my father, my mother, my maternal grandmother, because during my childhood I was staying with my grandmother, maternal grandmother. So what I learned from them is like charity, and more from empathy point of view, not sympathy.
Right.
And how do you organize yourself, whatever you do. So my father was lawyer. He was also a land survey commissioner. Basically, he used to have related to land. So used to study the land record, the land survey, used to create maps. The way he used to do that, I always used to see how he's doing so structurally, and also using different type of tools those days, bringing all new tools to do that. So I think that's what I learned, and from my mother also I learned how to be organized. She was of course homemaker, but very organized way, doing all the things, including taking care of my father's, whenever he was going out, or maybe a lot of guests coming, relatives coming. We had a large family also, joint family. So yeah.
So how did you move to engineering stream? Akilur, you didn't try to follow the law course, if I may call it so.
Yeah. Actually, see, those days, of course, law is one profession, but it used to be always medical engineering. So these are the ones which, you know, and in my in our relatives, in our relations, there were engineers, there were also doctors, and then I got influenced by them. They in the engineering, they were from different engineering background, civil, electrical, mechanical, and all. Then I started thinking about that. Okay, I should go to engineering. But as I moved towards my matriculation, so that time I had fair idea about what engineering I should do. I analyzed. I thought electrical engineering is one which is sort of a mother of different disciplines. Whether you talk about electronics,
Right.
those days of course computers was not so much popular. But I thought that if I take that, then I can actually grow into different areas. Actually, my other environment also helped me. So near to my house, there was a library. So I used to go there every day without fail. Even during exam time, I mean, my parents used to say, "Tomorrow you have a paper, exam. Why are you going to the library?" And that too, not to read the textbooks. I used to read a lot of magazines, periodicals, and all. So from that, I could gather a lot of information about engineering, which engineering field I should go. So that somehow shaped my thinking process, that what I should do, which engineering. So I then so ended up with electrical engineering, and yeah, after that, of course, I sort of covered the other branches also in my career. Yeah.
Right, right, right. So I believe you did your MTech from Kharagpur,
Yes. Yeah.
right? And then moved on to join ABB. So you are one of those few IT leaders that have stayed in one company for over 3 decades, Akilur.
Yeah.
Very rare achievement to have. I believe you joined ABB in 1989.
Yeah.
Before I ask you what made you stay for such a long time, how did ABB happen? So
Okay. So in my MTech, of course, I was doing my research. Basically, it's a MTech thesis where actually that time it was digital simulation of high voltage DC network. So you can imagine in '89 it was digital simulation, which so I used to write programs and converting very complex simultaneous equations into a program and then running it simulated the environment with a simulated electrical system with high voltage DC technology. And so that sort of was very interesting for me, and I thought, okay, I should also move into that area. And I was not very particular about doing research PhD, so I thought I should move into some multinational company where I can actually nurture my this skill and also the competency. So then it happened that ABB that time that year actually it was Brown Boveri. So as you know, ABB
right,
is a merger of ASEA and Brown Boveri. So that same year it got merged. So then there was advertisement for R&D position in ABB in Baroda. I started there. So then I applied. I went there for the interview. I got selected, and actually my boss, who became boss, actually he was interviewing me, and then so there were several candidates. So he suddenly said, "Okay, just wait outside." Um, I was, not sure what exactly. Then I was immediately offered this position. So that time onwards, when I joined, actually my boss was very supportive. I mean, we had a similar kind of industrial, power system studies to be done. And I did my thesis on a, educational environment with a lot of other support. My guide was there, professor. Then when I joined, then my boss said, "Okay, can you do this study?" I said I was not confident, and this is the first time the R&D in ABB in Brown Boveri that time was being done. So he said, "I know that you have done similar thing." I was not confident, but he said, "Don't worry, you will get all the support." So
right,
he gave me that support and encouragement I could do. It was basically, I remember it was ONGC Uran. That is the plant which ONGC has in Maharashtra, in Uran. So that entire electrical system was simulated, and then I did the study. I wrote my program and also did that, analysis and also recommendation for the design. So it was basically you write the program, you first write the algorithm, then write the program, the software program, uh, run the study, and come up with a design. So it was all end to end. So that was very exciting. So that's how I started, and then I got opportunity in different areas to do a product development, the hardware product development, as well as software engineering, software business development, consulting, R&D management, technology management, and so that was basically doing different things, and every time learning something
that's
and
something
also
new.
growing. So that's how I started, and then it was very interesting. That's how I was fortunate also to get into all the divisions of ABB, including robotics, including switch gear, including substation automation, including industrial automation, process automation, all the areas I could get. So that is how it was so interesting of learning and delivering
Delivering. True.
a job. Yeah.
So that would be one of the reasons that you've stayed there for a long time, Akilur, right?
Yes. Yeah.
What have been the learning over these years? I'm sure we've moved to different roles, handling different messaging across the group. What kind of learnings have you developed over the years, and also in terms of the leadership skills and lessons that you follow?
Yeah. Uh, so fortunately, I take it as a positive thing that when I moved into different areas, different roles, many of them they were first time, basically sort of a new area. Like the example I gave when I joined ABB, so my boss gave that system study. So that was first time it was done. There was no tool available, nothing, so I could do that. And every time I used to get something, either it's new or it's very challenging, very complex, not so there. I believe, I mean, that's something I also sort of nurtured and got developed for myself, that you can always analyze the problem and sort of identify where exactly you are stuck, whether it's a technical problem or it's a leadership problem or managerial problem or the end result. Many times we are stuck with analyzing the problem, but maybe we come up with some solution, but we are not able to solve it, the final problem, or maybe some improvement. I think what I learned is keeping the end in mind, the result, that okay, this is a product, it has to be in the market, and then you do all your research, your development, and the productization, and then bring this. It's not that whatever you start with, everything will end up. Maybe you start with some 10 things, but you may end up with maybe 4 or 5 things which will be in the product, in the market, and for the customer.
Right.
I think that one should always keep in mind, and that way, I think then you get also teams and motivate the teams, give them some flexibility, empowerment by which you can achieve together. So in the process, I had not only the employees but also a lot of interns. So when I started, so a software integrated power plant, it's basically huge. You know that power plant there, they consist of different disciplines: generation, electrical, mechanical, civil, uh, thermal. So all those, and then you have to design the power plant and also do the costing. So I developed the system of integrated power plant engineering and costing. So that time, in addition to my own team, but there are a lot of interns I used to hire, and then teach them. They used to be very excited about developing the software and all, and then we could make it happen. Actually, we deployed it. It was very successful, and I have seen that it's all about how you guide and motivate and give them a little bit of freedom to the team members. I think by that you can definitely achieve it.
Achieve it.
So,
Right, right. Very interesting, Akilur. So listening to your story, one thing that comes to mind is the secret recipe for our success is again our own creation. It's self-manufactured and for our consumption only. The circumstances in our lives are uniquely different from anyone else, and there is no one size fit for all formula. What have been your key ingredients for success over all these years?
yeah, I think it's about coming out with some objective actions. So many times I've seen a lot of topics. We in a big team or maybe in an organization, we keep on analyzing, discussing. End of the day, we have a lot of ideas, a lot of information, but it doesn't get into the final result or product. Or I think that is what we have to. The success is about all said and done, all the discussion, all the analysis, all. So finally, we have to come up with something which is really being used by the end users, customers, or internally if it is. I think keeping that in mind, if you do it, definitely it will happen. And also in the process, you have to motivate people and give that particular direction to people who are working in that. And of course, there were failures many times. I mean, that was also learning. I mean, but again, uh, I was fortunate that in some of the cases where there were failures, or maybe it was not meeting the criteria, but support from the management, from your leadership, that helps. So you then try to redesign the problem, redesign the system, and then deliver. So I think it's all, as you said, right? One size doesn't fit all, and also it's not that all the team members, all the tools, everything is basically thinking in the same way as you think. It's all about how you can take the take the best part from the employees, from their skill point of view, from their behavior point of view, from their personality point of view, and then how you can stitch that together to find the end result. Yeah.
Right. A final question before I draw Ranjit into this conversation as well, Akilur. In terms of improving your own skills, or do you look at specific areas, any podcasts or any books that you refer to, or any online courses that you participate in?
Yeah. I, of course, not much of online courses. I mean, I of course, don't have time now, but also not patience to go through the entire course if it is a few days of course or fewer. So what I do is I take a topic, do a little bit of research on internet, trying to find out. I mean, my best is always Wikipedia. I mean,
Okay.
you if you want to go to any topic, just start from there. Then you expand your. So then analyze your own. Try to build a model that how it is going to sort of give you some information if you're trying to do something, work in that area. How what you can take, and where from you get the support in the organization, with the people, with the experts, connecting with them, and then that is how. So more on like a practical on-job kind of approach I have. More than the training, it's on-job what I believe, and fortunately I've been sort of successful in that. Yeah.
Right. Interesting. Right, Ranjit, let's have you as well in this conversation. There is one common question that I have for both of you. Let's start with you, Akilur, in that case. So, what were some of the key challenges for your business last year, and how did you overcome them? And moving ahead, what are your key priorities around innovation or technologies for 2021?
Okay. Uh, for us, as well as I see that overall industry, whether it's utility or industry or infrastructure, I think that space everybody had this challenge of uncertainty. Yeah. And it's kind of volatile. I mean, what we call VUCA world,
Okay.
volatile, uncertain, and complex. And actually, that happened last year, if you see. And it is. I'm also talking about our customers like utilities, industries. The production is stopped, or maybe it is down and running at 50%, and then with the lockdown, people are not able to go to the plant or to the site where something is being built, a substation or maybe large uh, power plant, or maybe system is being built. So people are not able to reach out to the site, and also these were very sort of disruption to the work, to continue the work for the customer as well as for our own factory. I think what here people quickly learned about how we can do it remotely. Okay.
Right.
Virtually. It's not just about virtually connecting and meeting. So many things you are trying to monitor a plant or a system remotely, which earlier it used to be that you have to go to a control room of a substation or a big plant or system, SCADA or network control area. You have to go to the control room, and you see so many displays and all. You see all these happening, and then if you are not able to go there, so how do you do that remotely? And yet you are cyber secure. You are not sort of disrupting the system because of security issues, remote plugin. Um, So that way, we as Hitachi ABB Power Grids, we could manage with remote monitoring, with remote inspection. So many times, our customers, they come to our factory for witnessing the test on the product, on the system physically. So they were not able to travel. So we could also do the remote uh, factory acceptance test, where customer is sitting somewhere else and then they are having the view of our factory. And it is not just the physical audio video check, but there were also interactive screens by which they will see the testing results. They will also approve it. They will also try to, let's say they want to know a little bit more details about a process, how the testing has happened, what are the parameters, technical. So how those applications, there are different applications, software applications. So how we could connect that in an interactive way and then do that. And of course, remote, many times also the equipment is already there at site. So with assisted, with guidance, remote guidance to make it running, configure it, start the software, start the hardware, configure it, check it, and also commission it. So normally we call it commissioning once you. So I think this remote monitoring and also optimizing the process. I mean, many times people feel that, okay, my production or my system is running at 50% loading. So what do I do? I mean, I don't have to optimize, but there are a lot of scope there even to optimize, reduce your cost and improve the performance of the asset in terms of asset health performance. So that you do by remote monitoring, and then you apply also the AI ML, artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithm to analyze the asset as well as system operation, and then come up with action to improve. And have some prediction also. So all these technologies, digital technologies we are talking about, which they really help, and they are going to help in future. Yeah.
Right. Yes, Ranjit.
Hi. So I think for us, the biggest challenge we saw in the last year was unprecedented demand. With the entire work from home, how do we help our clients plan better with the entire work from home, study from home kind of wave that came through, right? And in the background with chip shortages, as all of you would be aware, in terms of component shortages. So how do we deal with that? How do we keep our clients, up to running? And like Akilur said, with security was the other big thing that we had to help our clients with, because everything moved from an on-prem to a work from anywhere today. Right?
True.
And that was, I think, we were quite busy the entire year in that, and that's probably what we helped a lot of our customers with.
Right. Over to you, Ranjit. So I will be around Akilur. Ranjit would be taking it over from me, and